The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
Welcome back to the show, all Cherries fans, and welcome to another very special video. Of course, I have got my main man next to me, Mr. Matthew Harrison. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, all good, Craig. Looking forward to a quick discussion on the transfer window and seeing how it's going to impact the season.
Yeah, well, let's get underway then. Let's get underway and bring the details up. So, ambitious is the question that we're asking you. Please put in the comment section as well as liking and subscribing. That's always useful. Thank you. It helps the channel grow. What you make of the window, is it ambitious for you? So I'll tell you what, get us underway, Matt. Who is number one?
Okay, so our first choice is I say our first choice.
Yeah.
First player to discuss that we've signed this window is Julio Soler. Have I said that right?
Julio Soler.
Julio Soler. Is that
Julio
how it's said?
Soler, yes. I learned that from Alejo Rivera.
But bearing in mind you have been saying Dango Atara wrong since Mark McAdam told you how to pronounce it. But hey ho, I'll go with it.
Dongo Dango. I'm sure he don't mind.
Yeah, I'm sure. So obviously this signing, obviously you've seen him play once because he obviously went off to, was it the under-20s international tournament?
Yeah, for Argentina.
So obviously we've only seen him in the cup game earlier on last month now. Obviously you know a little bit more about the player himself than what I do, obviously from speaking to the journalist that knows a lot about him, but from my sort of perspective, I think it was a signing that we had to make in the window, due to the lack of depth in the left back position, and obviously with the vultures circulating around our current left back, there was obviously going to have to be some kind of contingency plan in place. And from what I've learned myself about this player and the very little I've seen of him in the West Brom Cup game, is that I think he's an ideal signing. I think he's got masses and potential ahead of him. I mean, for a guy as young as him to have made 60 first team appearances in his career, for a player so young, is obviously very impressive.
Yeah.
So obviously, he does come to Bournemouth with quite a bit of first team experience behind him. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the most interesting thing I heard is on the video that you did where the journalist, I won't even try to pronounce his name, but the journalist you spoke to saying that he could potentially develop into a better player than Kirkes, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and I think, as you can see from the stats and as you've mentioned, 60 appearances at such a young age is nothing to be sniffed at. It's a really, really, really good statistic. He's a mainstay in the Argentine under 20s. Also, do keep in mind, he was recently on the bench. He didn't get on the field, but he was on the bench for Argentina's games in the Copa America. So that's always some good experience that he would have picked up there, being around the likes of Messi and, of course, World Cup winners. So it's a very, very exciting signing. The left back position is always a very difficult one to fill because there's less of them around and even less quality. Now, I think that this is a typical Bournemouth signing. A typical Bournemouth signing nowadays. That this is going to be somebody for the future. I can't imagine that he is going to dislodge Kirkes straight away. I might be wrong in thinking that. I think he might have to wait until Kirkes moves on potentially in the summer. Of course, he's been linked with so many clubs already, but it's great to have somebody like this in backup. And I'm sure that when he does get his opportunities, he'll probably take them with both hands. He was good in the West Brom game, wasn't he, really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, considering it was his debut, and I don't think he had many days to sort of train and blend in with the squad. So, yeah, like I say, the little that I know he played. I think he played the full 90 minutes, didn't he? But I mean, obviously,
Yes.
it's only one appearance, But I was very impressed with what I saw. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to keep Kirkes on his toes. But yeah, do we know when he's back? Is he back in time for this weekend? Do we know? Or
I'm not sure. I'm not sure is the honest answer. I think Argentina have gone quite far in the competition, um, as you would expect them to, but I'm not 100% sure on that, to be fair. But he's a great prospect, and long may it continue. In fact, yeah, they have gone quite deep into the competition as well. So, yeah, we shall see him back, I'm sure, and firing on all cylinders. It seems like, and it seems like with regards to the groups, there's like an initial group stage and then there's a final group stage. So the two winners of each of the groups then go into, and I think there's only two groups, believe it or not. I think then they go into that final round. At the moment, Colombia, Argentina, and Brazil are all tied on 3 points each, with Chile lagging behind on 0. But it's an exciting signing. And yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what he can do.
yeah, definitely. I think our next one, for me, I've at the time when I think we covered him briefly on a cherry picking, but
Yes.
yeah, a guy that I'm quite excited about actually.
Mm. Akinboni, signed from DC United, 31 appearances in the MLS with one career assist, and he is a USA under 20 international. Get the trend here. Um, and of course, he was handed his pro debut by former DC United boss Wayne Rooney. So yeah, take out of that what you will, but of course, he was consistent after Rooney as well, and made 4 appearances for the USA under 19s, and again, another good bit of business. Personally, and do tell me if I'm wrong on this. I think again he's one for the future. He's not probably going to see much game time, but who knows? We might see him this weekend. Although it probably would have been in his favour if it was against the lower league team this weekend.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on the in terms of opposition there. He might got some minutes this coming weekend if we had a um, lower side. But
Mhm.
for me, I think a really good signing for the future. Um, Another guy from the USA, so obviously keeping the sort of theme going. We're signing some good young international USA players.
Yes.
I'm sure he might shift some shirts out in the USA at some point. If he carries on with his international career and the way he started it. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think this one's quite an exciting one to watch how he develops. I've read some good things about him. I think DC
Mhm.
United were pretty disappointed that he left from some of the stuff I've read. But yeah, their loss is obviously Bournemouth's game. But I think you're right. I don't think he's going to be getting a lot of game time, but it's definitely building towards a bright future of decent young crop of players.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like I say, it's just a shame it's not against the lower league opposition, and I think Everton are going to be quite a difficult team to play against, especially under David Moyes. But I expect, if we do get a lower league team in the next round, I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy make a appearance, if not even get a start.
Mm. Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, again, there's a theme running through this window, isn't there? And
Yeah.
obviously he is part of that theme. But I mean, the next choice that we have is a goalkeeper, Clyde Crampton. From what I've looked up on him, he seems to have been quite a highly rated youngster at Chelsea, but I think they've seen that his development has reached its peak with them, and we look like we've taken the opportunity to bring him in and see if we can develop him any further. But yeah, I mean, he's made 6 appearances for Chelsea in the under-18 Premier League for Chelsea, and I think he's been called up for England a few times, but hasn't had caps at various levels. But looks like he's probably got a good prospect.
With regards to goalkeepers, of course, there is only the one position, so it is going to be hard for them to break through. But of course, they do normally tend to have a little slightly longer career than an outfield player. Do you know what? This quite excites me as well, that we are fishing in that pond, because Chelsea, Arsenal, all the big clubs do let a lot of youngsters go every single year. And what tended to happen is that they used to go to particular clubs, the Brightons, the Readings, the Southamptons, who have decent academies. And this is kind of hinting at what we're probably going to be doing in the future. Is we will probably be picking up those players that may struggle to get through, and and it's no bad thing. Look at how many players have gone on to be great players but got rejected at youth level at a big club. Um, so Kai shouldn't be disappointed that it's come to an end at Chelsea, but should be excited that he's going to be at AFC Bournemouth, a club which are progressing with a lot of young talent that he's going to be playing around, and very, very good young talent. And of course, with the new training ground coming up, by all means, I think that things are going to come on leaps and bounds. And a grade 1 academy is going to be on the agenda. Now, midway through, of course, we do want to give a quick mention to our sponsors, Dental on the Banks. You can visit them at dentalonthebanks.co.uk. Here's a little bit about them now. And also a big thank you to our other sponsors as well, Touchpoint Telecoms. For all your business telecoms needs, visit touchpointtelecoms.co.uk, all across the south of England and beyond as well. So I tell you what, let's have a look at the next player. And that player is Zane Silcott Dewberry. No relation to Michael, which, was a question of debate. Of course, come from Chelsea. Michael Dewberry was a Chelsea legend, but he isn't related. Tell us what you think of this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think this guy is going to be one of the signings that we've made this window that I think is going to have a bright future at this club, I think.
Yeah.
he's, from what I've read, I mean, a lot of these players obviously got to try and read up on, haven't we? And from what I've
Yeah.
read, he seemed to have been some sort of muted to be a wonder kid at Chelsea. So definitely seems to have an exciting future ahead of him. So it'd be good to see how he develops at Bournemouth. But I think this guy has got a lot of potential to be in and out of our sort of first team. Not straight away. I think he needs some time to develop. Obviously, he made an appearance from the bench for us, but we know how many sort of injuries and first team players we got out. So that he's had that chance to make his debut. But I think there's a lot of promise for this player, and I think it wouldn't surprise me that maybe next season, maybe the season after, I think he might have a bit of a breakthrough in our side, to be honest.
Yep, most definitely. And I think this is going to be the player that we're probably going to see the most of for the rest of this season. Mainly as we will probably rotate things. Of course, he has come off the bench already for us in a Premier League match. So he is an exciting prospect. Also, I know that this might be a competition that is probably a lot of Premier League fans look their nose down at nowadays. Of course, we remember the Auto Windscreen Shield final, but of course, the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, he's played in that tournament as well. And Chelsea are one of the better clubs, better Premier League clubs that play in that tournament. And what I mean by that is they always seem to compete a lot better than some of them do. Some of them go into that competition. It's normally ones with academies and normally exit after getting beat by Morecambe Barrow and whoever. Chelsea aren't like that. So there's a lot of prospects, and you can read into that where that he's actually played against full professionals. And let's be fair, League One and League Two players are sometimes a little bit tougher. So I think it's a good experience for him, and it will set him up in good stead. And I can see a really good future for this lad in the long run at this football club. Again, he is somebody who I think we'll probably see a little bit more of than the others.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And for Chelsea, playing 66 times, okay, it's not first team appearances, but like you say, he's played in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, which is going to have given him a good education, of first team football.
Yeah.
But like you say, playing against League One and Two clubs, the football is different as you go down the pyramid, so that's definitely would have given him an education. But playing in the Premier League too as well is a fairly decent league. He'd be coming up against decent players in that as well. So for him to make all those appearances in those kind of leagues and tournaments is going to put him in very, very good stead, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think playing in that trophy, of course, will have toughened him up a little bit as well. League One, League Two, it is a different style of football. And I've been told by family members, of course, I'm originally from Reading, that they do kick seven shades of shit off each other in those leagues, especially some teams. So there we go. So yeah, I think that's good experience for him.
Definitely. And obviously our transfer deadline day signing,
Yes.
which we got through the door. Not surprised considering, there were several clubs looking at him, including West Ham.
Yes.
And obviously the connection with the Bill Foley portfolio. And so not surprised really that this one got across the line. But yeah, this player is having a great season. I
Yeah.
think his goal ratio is maybe one every other game, I think, at the minute, something like that. And okay, I know it's in the second division of the French league, but talent is talent, and I think this guy's got a bright future ahead of him. Okay, it's not a problem solver for the moment,
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of fans were hoping that we were going to have this window. But obviously, the winter window is always a tricky window, isn't it? To bring
Yeah.
players in. In fairness, to lose 2-year strikers within the week of each other, it's sometimes difficult, isn't it, to be able to get out there and sign a replacement as quick as you need it. So, but this striker again, like the running theme through this window, is for the future.
Yeah.
And one that quite excites me. Again, another player that's got a lot of first team experience for his age.
Yes.
He's played 70 times for Llorente. He scored 25 goals with 6 career assists. So, and like I say, this season his form is really picked up. And he's been capped at pretty much every level for France from under 16. So, going to be excited when he joins up with the squad. Obviously, we're going to have to wait until the summer for that. But yeah, a promising player and looks exciting for the future.
And I know that Llorente fans weren't particularly very happy. He is their top scorer. He is on 7 goals so far this season. In fact, what is quite interesting, he's played 48 times for Llorente, scoring 14 goals throughout. And this is the main team. This is the first team. He's actually played, I'm just working it out here, 23 times for France from under 16 level to under 19 level. And he's actually scored 15 goals. So he scored more goals for his country in less games than he has for his team. He's a very exciting prospect. Llorente fans hate Bournemouth again. Of course, they want Bill Foley out. They're kicking up all sorts of stuff on social media. But the argument there, and just to push back on that, is if AFC Bournemouth didn't sign him, West Ham would have done. Somebody else would have come in and would have probably loaned him back. So Llorente, top of the league. He is their top scorer. He looks like he's probably going to lead them back out of League Two into Ligue 1. And yeah, it'll be a good parting gift from him. And I personally can see him being effectively part of 3 strikers. Of course, we'll have Over Nilsson, Enisu now, and Krupi as well. So yeah, very very exciting. I expect him to get some good game time next season. Am I disappointed that we're not going to see him this year? We could probably do with him. To be fair, at this point in time, just in case anything happens to Dongo Dango. But yeah, I think it's kind of the sweetener, isn't it, that Bill Foley's offered to get this across the line.
Yeah, and like you say, it would have been nice to have him in the squad now, but obviously for the future, and yeah, time will tell, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's move on then. So that's all our incoming signings.
But let's just have a look at a roundup, I suppose, of the
Yeah.
window as a whole. And obviously, we've discussed, the players that are coming in. Obviously, Daniel Jefferson has been recalled and
Yes.
obviously has played his part since coming back. Obviously, the outs all on loan. Couple of the development squad guys in Lewis Brown and Finn Tonks that have gone out on loan to Salisbury and Farnborough.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first team players, Philip Billin, moving on loan to Napoli. Not surprising, I don't think, that one really.
No.
I think we all know that he's been frustrated for minutes. So fair play to him, and hopefully, he gets a good run of games out there.
Yeah.
2 surprising ones for me, really, in Max Aarons and Travers. Max has obviously not had the minutes this season, but when you see that you've got both Smithy and go on, I'm not going to pronounce his name.
Arejo.
Out. Obviously, I thought he would have kept hold of him, but I can kind of understand as well that he wants minutes, and he's gone to a relegation battle, I believe, if I remember rightly, with Valencia in the top division in Spain. Travers, I mean, at first I was a little bit disheartened by it because I thought, we're still in the cup, we're pushing for Europe, and we're letting our number 2 goalkeeper go. But then when I think about it, and the club's offered him a new contract, and he's signed. We do have obviously Will Dennis, and I think the likes of Iriola is putting their faith in Will to be able to step up. But also this gives Travers the minutes that he's been desiring all season. So yeah, all in all, I kind of have brought into that loan deal now, and fair play to Will Dennis. If he is ever called upon between now and the end of the season, then I'm sure he'll put in a good shift. He had a great spell on loan at Kilmarnock last season, so yeah, why can't he do the job for Bournemouth? So yeah, this all seems pretty good in the goalkeeping department, really, when you think of Dennis and Travers, and wherever Kepa ends up or whatever happens with Kepa, we've got quite a good strong goalkeeping department. So yeah, I see he pulled out a great save against Mepham on Monday night, Travers. So keeping his ex-teammate, well, his current teammate, but you know what I mean. His current teammate, who's also on loan, stopped him from scoring. But yeah, good luck to him. But yeah, overall, I can't say I'm surprised with what's gone out. I suppose Max Aaron is probably really what I still think about is probably the one I probably would have kept hold of. But yeah,
I just don't think Iriola favours Max Aaron's, and
no,
it's a real shame because I really like him. I really like him. He's a nice lad. He works hard. I just don't feel that Iriola feels that there's a place for him here,
yeah,
and
yeah,
maybe he's looking for something a little bit different. Maybe Max Aaron's is a little bit rigid, but then again, I felt Iriola's one of these managers as well, and we've seen it with Lewis Cook, where he's moved him from midfield over to the right hand side. Maybe Max Aaron's doesn't offer that fluidity, and maybe that's something that he's looking for. But I think Billing and Aaron's is probably two that we probably won't see again in a Bournemouth shirt, along with Rothwell. I think Rothwell will probably leave the club, as will I think Mepham in the summer at some point. So I think yeah, it makes sense. But Travers, most definitely, I want to see us keep hold of him. But when Will Dennis does get called upon, and you never know, we might see Crampton as well. Travs and of course Rambo got their chances, so we've got to hold faith that Iriola knows what he's doing. He's seen enough of Will Dennis, and he'll be quite happy if something does happen to Kepa.
definitely. But I think the biggest question is, in terms of the whole window itself, are we satisfied? Has Andoni been fully supported? And, will the lack of the first team signings impact our chances of reaching Europe?
It's the $1 million question, isn't it? With so many players out, would I have liked to have seen somebody who could walk into the side, or really come in and give us a little bit more strength? I probably would do, but there's a harmony at the club, and Iriola is good at building players. This is why, of course, we did a week or so ago a video about Iriola being linked to Tottenham. This is why I can't see it, because Iriola will want to model these players into professionals that he can utilize in different positions, who are fluid. And I think that Simon Francis has probably had conversations with him before he ticks off on these players. Um, so I'm excited by it. I'm excited by it. And if you look at what he did at Vallecano as well, seems to be a sort of trend as well, that the sort of players that Iriola likes working with, and it's these young players who he can actually mould into something else, and something that's even better, and improve their careers.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, the original narrative for the window, I think, is probably signing the players that we've signed, young
Yeah.
players for the future. I think when you get the unlikely sort of injuries that we got, with Viva Nilsson and Unison now, I think I think they're quite confident with, I suppose really in some respects a bit of a bare thin squad
Yeah.
to continue this season with. Obviously, the biggest thing is that there's no threat of relegation. So I think this window, they could afford not having to invest in getting someone in quickly to sort of, rectify the injury issues that we've got. So yeah, I think the window is, they've gone with their original plan. They've kept to their plan to sign decent young players for the future. So I think Iriola's been supported in that way. Okay, he might
Yeah.
have wanted a striker, but the transfer window in January is never easy to go out there and sign a striker. You've got to think of the wage bill as well. Obviously, letting the players that we've let go has obviously relieved the wage bill as well, so that's helped out. In terms of reaching Europe, will the window affect that? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of trust in the club. Like you say, there's a good aroma around the club at the minute, and I think the likes of Dango has stepped up. Clive, who's performing. I think he's got the best stats in the Premier League at the minute, actually, Clive. So I think they've got a lot of belief in the players that they've got to obviously see us through until Eva Nilsson's back, which is rumoured to be mid-March, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think really I'm quite happy with the transfer window, to be honest. I think, bringing in the young blood for the future, I think is really good for the club. Obviously, signing our new striker on transfer deadline day shows, a lot of intent for the future in terms of probably next season. I know there's a lot of question marks around Unel leaving this window, which I think would have happened if he'd have been fit. I think he would have gone out on loan, so I think you would have seen our deadline day signing potentially come in as a replacement for him.
Yeah.
See us through to the end of the season anyway. So yeah, I think there's obviously been some bumpy roads, but I think all in all, this window I'm quite satisfied. And I still think, even though we did have the defeat against Liverpool, I mean, you're playing the best side in Europe at the minute,
Wow.
whichever way you look
Exactly.
at it.
Yeah.
Playing in all competitions. So, whether you had a fully fit squad or not, I still think, we played well against the best side in Europe, but we had a great run. It was great while it lasted, but you dust yourself down and you carry on. And I think that's kind of the mentality that the squad's got at the minute. And like I say, everyone that's chipping in with goals is kind of covering for having two strikers out injured. So I think there's a lot of belief from the top all the way through to the players, around what we could possibly achieve this season. So yeah, all in all, I would say I'm pretty satisfied with the window, and I think the belief in the squad is great. So yeah, I think there's no major panic that we haven't signed a striker. And I think that these guys here, Francis Pinto, Iriola, know that they've got the talent in the squad to see him across the line until Eva Nilsson comes back.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there was conversations in the background as well about Evan Nilsson's return date, and
Yeah,
maybe that's sooner rather than later, and that's a real big boost. But of course, then you've got to think, well, Danko's been doing so well in that position. Do you change? All right, yeah, we got beat by Liverpool, but like you say, best team in Europe, in the Premier League at the moment. They're going to win the title. Hey, there's no disgrace in it. we've done ourselves proud, and we might go on another run. And if we go on another run of 10 games, that'll see us over the line to the end of the season. And, who knows where that will lead us? It could lead us into a Europa League place, or even better, fifth, remember, is probably going to get a Champions League place, because if an English side win the Champions League, for example, like Liverpool, and I think Chelsea probably win the Europa Conference League. The Europa League, of course, Spurs and Man United could be a little bit iffy. It could really open up opportunities. So yeah, it's exciting times. So yeah, fingers crossed. But no, thank you again, Matt. I'll tell you what, it's been an interesting conversation about our new signings, and we shall see how their careers progress at this football club.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in answer to the thumbnail, ambitious, I would say absolutely.
Yep, most definitely from me as well. Ambitious, but in a different sort of way. Ambitious, getting in quality youngsters who are going to propel themselves into greatness. There we go. There's something to leave you with. Like I say, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell button. Check out all of our other videos and interviews, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining us.
The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.